Let's talk about the Mobvoi TicWatch Atlas, a smartwatch with a ton of features and good battery life. It is a Wear OS watch. That means if you're using an Android phone, this is a watch you can use. If you're part of the Apple Army or Apple Armada, this watch is not for you, and I'm sorry about that. But guys, it's a really interesting watch, and I'd like to talk more about it, so stick around. Okay, let me give you the bottom line up front. This is a watch with, for its competition, exceptional battery life. It does anything that a smartwatch will do, to include all the apps, things like that. But compared to a Google Watch or a Samsung watch, you're getting 2 to 3 times the battery life, and that's with heavy usage. And if you put it in essentials mode, you can get up to 45 days of battery life. I'm going to say that again. You can get up to 45 days of battery life out of this watch if you put it in the essentials mode. That crushes every other smartwatch that I have played with, all the way up to and including Garmin's, the Garmin Fenix 8, the Enduro 3. This is better than all of those. Now, I don't know about those when it comes to battery saving. If you put it in like ultimate battery saving and kick on the solar, you might do better than 45 days. But for me, I don't think you're going to be able to do better for most situations than that. And even out of the essentials mode with heavy use, like I said, I'm seeing 2 to 3 times the battery life of its nearest competitors that I'm aware of. I was impressed with the overall feature set. I was impressed with the price point. I was impressed with a lot of things. So if you don't want to go any further in this video and you're like, I'm just trying to decide right now, guys, right now on Amazon and on Mobvoi's website, this watch is priced at under $200. You can hit the link in the description if you want it. So if I've already piqued your curiosity and you just want to jump straight to the chase, there you go. But if you want to get into the depths of what all this watch can do and the things that I found out about it, let's progress. I'll talk about the unboxing, the feature set, and we'll get deep into the weeds. Okay, I want to try and go about this real quick. I know unboxing smartwatches is probably the least exciting thing about them, but I do want you guys to know what the heck you're getting in this package. So let me just put that up. And I'm kind of curious myself. Obviously, you can tell by the plastic, I have not unboxed this watch at all. This is brand spanking new for me. There we go. Okay, watch itself. Obviously, I'm going to need an app, a couple little mini boxes. This suspiciously looks like a charging cable, which obviously we'll need at some point. I'm guessing this is probably the destruction manual. Also not going to be pictured. Despite this having sapphire glass, which is super, super durable, I am going to put a screen protector on it. I actually put a scratch on the screen protector on my Fenix already, and it's really easy, and it's a couple bucks to just swap out the other one. I know that even the sapphire can scratch if you subject it to enough abuse. So having something that's cheap and I could just like rip off and put a new one on seems like a no-brainer to me. I digress. So, you know, it's pretty straightforward. It's like the same stuff you get with every smartwatch or sport watch. Oh, I should put that back in there. But, you know, the proof's going to be in the pudding. We're going to wear it for several weeks before we render any verdicts. I'll get with you guys and let you know. Guys, let's talk real quick about the interface and some of the highlights on this watch. There's a lot, but you got 2 buttons. One's the side button. It's in the upper right, and then the crown. Oh, we'll talk about that other display in a second. But if you hit the side button, it's going to bring up your most used apps in order, and you can scroll through them with the crown. If you push the crown, it always goes back to the main screen. If you double tap this side button, it's going to go to Google Pay. I haven't set up Google Pay on this. Not a big deal. If you hold it down for 3 seconds, it's going to take you to the boot menu, and you can do power off, restart, emergency SOS. More on the emergency SOS in a second. And if you hold it down for 15 seconds, it'll force restart the watch. I haven't had to do that, but it is available to you if you wish to do that. The crown, if you push it once, you get into the applications. Let's talk about some of the highlights for applications. There's a bunch of them that you've seen before. Obviously, you can get into your phone contacts. Essential mode puts it in that amazing power saving mode. You can do find your phone. Flashlight just turns on the screen brightly, and you can turn it down to red if you want. Gmail, Google Wallet, like I said, I haven't set it up. Maps. Maps is cool, guys, because you can run a whole map application on here. You can start it on your phone, transfer it to here. You can start it on here, transfer it to your phone, or you can just do standalone on the watch. I know I'm talking really freaking fast. Media control, so you can start and stop if your phone's doing YouTube or Spotify or anything like that. You can get into your messages, privacy settings. I haven't used the Mobvoi treadmill. I just use the TicWatch fitness stuff. If you have MyFitnessPal, I use that. You can interface with it through here. I don't usually bother through the watch, but you can do that. One tap measurement gives you like your heart rate, blood oxygen, a bunch of other health metrics, which is pretty cool. Microsoft Outlook, it's one of the things I'm chained to. You can make phone calls directly through the watch as long as your phone is within Bluetooth range and receive the same. So if you want to talk through the watch a la Dick Tracy, nobody even knows what I'm talking about. Hey, if you understood the Dick Tracy reference, schedule your colonoscopy. You're probably overdue. Play Store if you want to download more apps. All your settings, Spotify, stopwatch, barometer, altimeter, barometer, compass, all available. Breathing exercise, which is pretty cool. I've played with that. I don't even know what TicCare is. There's your compass. Exercise. Guys, if we go into exercise, there's all the ones that I have, and I've kind of put them in order that I use. Like, obviously, I do weightlifting, indoor cycling, outdoor running, and indoor running. Man, those are my big ones. But there's like 100 different things available to you. If you go into add, you can change them, and you can also change the order of them if you want. You can also subtract some. I don't know why I have still left yoga and Pilates on there, because God knows I don't do those. Anytime you swipe off to the side, it takes you all the way back to the screen. So let's see, where was I? The exercise. Yeah, health is just all the health metrics. Timer, time show, multiple watch faces available through that. Weather, YouTube, music, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, and so if you hit this, it takes you back to the screen. If you double tap this, I think it just brings up the most recently used app. So we're back into exercise. I like the crown. Whenever you're running through stuff, you get a nice little haptic feedback. If you swipe down from the top, you get your quick access screen. So it's, and this is changeable too, or rearrangeable through edit, but you can turn on and off Wi-Fi, flashlights. You can lock the screen so touch doesn't work. Airplane mode. Let's see, more Google Pay, the nighttime setting, the do not disturb, movie setting, and turn off the sound. Obviously I have the sound turned off, and settings. And if you click on the battery, it'll take you into, if you want to switch to essential mode. I should probably stop and talk about essential mode in a second, but if you swipe off to the side, it's just your different cards. This is the different timers that are available, and you can add to this if you wish. Alarms, sunset, sunrise, stress monitoring, I don't usually bother with that, and sleep tracking. Haven't worn this last night, so it's basically saying, hey, make sure you do that. Blood oxygen level is the last one that was measured for me, and that was the last warm-up that I did, or I'm sorry, workout I did when I was wearing the watch. That was earlier today. Your activity rings, if that's your thing. You can also rearrange those tiles through either the phone or your watch, either one. If you swipe up, you start getting notifications, like, and right now I have notifications turned on for everything. You can really decide if you want all of those notifications or not, but you can just see those. SOS mode, before I forget, it is configurable. You can have SOS mode set up to where you have to turn it on through pushing a button. Oh, if you press the crown 5 times real fast, it just kicks it off automatically. You can have it call 911 or whatever your local emergency number is. You can also have it send your location to emergency contacts. I have that set up for the dear wife. Fortunately, we haven't had to use any of that. That is the quick and dirty of the main set of interface. Now let's talk real quick about the ultra low power display. As soon as it times out, I'm not going to make you wait. I'll just shut up and let it time out. So we have the ultra low power display here. So you can see you have the date, month and day, time, seconds, number of steps I've taken, heart rate, and amount of battery power. It has some other cards. If you rotate the crown, let's see, this is heart rate. You're obviously not going to get anything because it's not on my wrist. The number of calories that I have burned today in exercise. I don't remember if that's compass or blood oxygen. That one's compass. It probably needs calibration. So yeah, oh no, 30 degrees. So check it out. Yep. Yeah, so basically there's almost north. You have all this available to you without even coming out of the ultra low power mode. And then obviously you can always just go back to the main screen. So this is pretty awesome. And this is what you see if you do have it on Essentials mode. If you have it on Essentials mode, you're not going to get all the extra displays and stuff. But that said, you do have a lot of data available to you within a crazy long battery life. And I should mention watch faces, by the way. Let me just, I'm going to go into the settings. Let me turn the time out back to something that will help me. Yes, I know it reduces battery life. If you want to swap watch faces, there's a ton of them. But what's even more interesting is not only are there a ton of options, but if you see one that has a little edit below it, if you click on that little edit, you can change what's in some of the various features. Like this one, you know, do you want battery life in it, which is what was in there right now, I think. Heart rate, stress, yeah, battery. And then obviously heart rate's in that top one, and that's changeable. And then if you have this set up, if you tap on that, it's going to give you the ability to go straight into Essentials mode. Tap on that, go straight into measuring heart rate. But some of the others, you can actually change not just the various pieces parts, but you can change the colors. So like for instance, for this one, if you don't like red and you want to go with something, maybe you're feeling a little more blue today. So now everything's in blue. And then further, see how it says 1 of 2 at the top? If I swipe it over, I can change what's in those 2 little pieces right there if I want heart rate or compass or whatever. So you've got all kinds of cool options. And once this is on, like if I click on that, it goes straight to compass. There are thousands of watch faces available. Thousands of watch faces available. It is crazy, guys. More and more coming out every day. There are a couple of Reddit groups that I would get on if I were you, if you were interested in like all kinds of custom ones, Wear OS faces and Smartwatch. People release them out there quite a bit. There's a ton in the Google Play Store. Seriously, if you want to get into all kinds of different watch faces because, you know, you get a little bored with one or the other, this watch is an awesome watch to do that with. Anyways, I'll stop talking about the interface. Let me go back to everything else. Guys, I'm going to talk pretty fast and I'm going to refer to some notes. I don't normally run with notes or a script, but there's so much to talk about with this that I really need to kind of get my thoughts in order, and I want to make sure that I don't miss anything. When it comes to the design and the build, it's a stainless steel body. Mine was all black. You can get a gray one as well. So it was designed to be durable, but it's not super overwhelming. It is a pretty big watch, however. It just doesn't seem to wear the same as some of the other bigger watches I've tested. If you've got really dainty wrists, this may not be for you, but my wrists for a male, adult male, are pretty small, about 6 3/4 inch or 17 centimeters, if that's your measuring post. The black bezel doesn't occasion a lot of comment. It is kind of low key, and I like that. It doesn't really scream something like extra durable. So if I compare it to like a G-Shock or say a Garmin Instinct, it doesn't have that vibe. And if that's your jam, I get it. But some people don't like that, especially if they're wearing the watch like this to work and to other places. So it is a consideration. I think the little orange accents at the side button where it has the crown are not overwhelming. They're visible, but they don't really scream in your face. It's not a super heavy watch. I'll post the stats at some point, like literally the whole breakdown. I'm not even going to go into it because it would eat too much time. But overall, really nice, really durable looking watch. The band does not feel as expensive as some other bands that I have gotten with watches. It's okay. 24mm band, easily swappable. So if you want to get something on Amazon or AliExpress, there's a million things to choose from. You could get a leather band, a silicone band, magnetic strap, metal links. Like the world's your oyster if you want to swap out bands on this, and they are quick disconnect. So it's not too difficult to swap out bands on this watch. Overall, I didn't find the look to be off-putting, and it wasn't really anything that occasioned comment from any friends or associates. In general, it kind of fits into the category of it is a smartwatch. When it comes to the durability, they say it is a mil grade, mil STD 810H construction. I don't know what that spec entails. I'm sure you could Google it if you really want to find out, but it's a durable watch. I didn't subject it to any abuse, like I wasn't throwing it off buildings, smacking it with things. And I always put a screen protector on every smartwatch I get. This one does have sapphire glass, so it is more durable than the Gorilla Glass on some other watches in that same price point. Sapphire glass is supposed to be pretty darn resistant to scratches, but that said, I always put a screen protector on anyways. Costs a couple bucks, and it's kind of a insurance policy just in case. It is water resistant down to 5 atmospheres. I wouldn't go scuba diving with this watch. In fact, they tell you to avoid high pressure water jets, super hot temperatures, soap, detergents, solvents, things like that. I don't usually even bother showering with my watch. Usually when I shower, I rinse off the watch, put it on the sink, and then go shower without it, just to give my wrist a break from whatever smartwatch I'm wearing. But in terms of washing dishes, rainstorms, things like that I've been out in, no problem. You can go surface swimming, swimming pools, out in the ocean, no problem. So it is more than durable enough for most people under most circumstances. The display, and pardon me, I'm going to read specifically, is a 1.43-inch OLED or AMOLED touchscreen display with a resolution of 466 by 466, which is 326 pixels per inch. It is not as bright as some of the like Apple Watches, the Amazfit. Those things hit like, I want to say 2000 nits. This isn't that bright, but it is bright enough for me to be able to see the display in direct sunlight. I didn't have any issues with that. It has a dual level display, like 2 displays. And the second display, that ultra low power display, gives you enough data to where you don't really need to kick on the watch if you don't want to. And it also gives you exceptional battery savings. And that's really, I think, the key to this watch getting the battery life that it does, because it's always on display, which is really in effect always on, does not really eat a lot of battery. So that is a bonus. When it comes to overall wear, and I already mentioned this, the watch is pretty comfortable for me to wear. It doesn't really feel that heavy on my wrist. It doesn't feel that bulky on my wrist. While it is in effect the same size or darn close to the same size as a Garmin Fenix 7 or 8X, the big one, the 51 millimeter, it doesn't feel as big to me. Now, it's not a small watch. I will definitely tell you that. It's not gonna be suitable for if you want a little small timepiece. This is not going to do that. But day-to-day wear, I don't notice it. It just kind of sits very unobtrusively on my wrist. When it comes to the battery, I already mentioned the battery life. It's exceptional. It's got a magnetic charger. If it's at the bottom, it takes about an hour to fully charge. I never usually let my watch get all the way down there. I think at the lowest I've let this thing get to is like about 20 or 25%, but it charges relatively rapidly. What I typically do is wait until I have gotten it pretty low, and then when it's shower time, I just dump it on the charger and shower, take care of what I need to do. And then by the time I'm done with whatever, it's usually mostly fully charged. Not a big deal in that regard. Obviously, if you go into that essentials mode, that's when you get the ultimate battery savings. And essentials mode is available from the boot menu. You can go dive through the settings and hit it through, like I think it's 3 levels down, but the boot menu takes you directly there if you want. And you can set a setting where when the battery drops below a certain amount, it goes to the essentials mode automatically, no matter what. Guys, so now that you've seen all the goodies when it comes to the interface, this is a fully featured smartwatch. Anything that I am aware of that you can do with a smartwatch, you can do with this watch. You can take phone calls, make phone calls, you can respond to messages, see all your phone notifications, and you can pare down the number of notifications you get. I think right now I have this thing set to where every phone notification gives me a buzz. It's a little maddening, so I'm probably going to pare that down considerably. In terms of taking and making phone calls, you have to have your phone within Bluetooth range. The sound quality was reasonable. I'm not really one to talk on my wristwatch for a long period of time, but I found a couple of times it was kind of convenient. I didn't think it was something that I'd use, but it turns out I was wrong. Any app that you want that makes sense on this watch, you can use. Maps was actually particularly cool. I thought that was a nifty way that it worked, where it would work with your phone or without your phone, either way. So kind of a neat thing there. When you respond, you can use a voice response, or voice to text when you're like responding to messages. You can type out on a small keyboard, or you can use emojis, or you can use canned responses. And the canned responses are contextual. I think there's some level of AI in here that gives you responses that are more suited to whatever showed up. And that has worked for me pretty well. On a couple of occasions, I've just used the canned responses that it kind of offered me up. So reasonable amount of intelligence was put into the canned responses. I already showed you the watch faces, I think, in the interface. There are so many choices. It is unreal. And some of them you can pay for, some you don't have to pay for. One of the things that I really liked is not only do you have numerous watch faces, but most of the watch faces have some level of editability in terms of color scheme, but also in terms of the features that you get. One of the watch faces I think I paid for a whole whopping $150 had 15 different levels of configurability on that watch face. I didn't even know really where to begin. I just changed the colors to something that looked reasonable to me. But seriously, guys, like if you're somebody that is wanting to be entertained with different watch faces, or you want to very specifically like create a watch face, you also have an option for that. The website timeshowcool.com, you can create your own watch face. So if nothing out there works for you, you can make your own, which is awesome. I am aware that some other watches offer some level of this, but I know if you want to do that on Garmin, you're going to have to do some programming. And if you're not feeling like actually doing code, then maybe something like this makes more sense to you. When it comes to the sport watch, the more fitness-oriented features, guys, I wore this and my Garmin Fenix 7X at the same time on treadmill runs, outdoor runs, weightlifting in a fully featured gym, weightlifting at home, which is my dumbbell setup, riding the stationary bike, and going on walks. And I compared the data back and forth. The two things that stood out to me the most is heart rate data was darn close, probably within 90–95% between the two. Calories burned, almost dead even. So if you're trying to use a smart device to come up with how many calories you're burning versus how many you are taking in, this watch will do it. And I was impressed like every single time. I also compared this watch versus a chest strap, like an actual ECG chest strap. It was probably within 75% of that. I found, especially when it came to riding the bike, when I was out of the saddle, I kind of got some artificial spikes that weren't really there on the chest strap. So, but I think that's probably one of the hardest things for a smartwatch to deal with, is me with the hard wrist flexion kind of changes the angle a bit. But in terms of every other workout, they were darn close. So just, buyer beware. If you have a need to have the most perfect heart rate plot during your workout, you really want to invest in a chest strap. There's some low cost ones. You could spend all the way up to, I want to say, $100 for the Garmin one. But if you really want that level of data, an optical wrist-based sensor is probably not what you're going to use. I'll also say, guys, that the TicWatch has probably 100 different sport modes. More modes than I'm ever going to use. What did I say? I use like 5. I might veer off into 7 if I get crazy and do some swimming, but I'm not really that far into the weeds. But this watch has like yoga, Pilates, all sorts of stuff. So I strongly suspect that there is a sport watch mode available in there that will suit your needs. I will say that the amount of data that I get from Garmin when it comes to running especially is a little more in depth. So if you are a data nerd, if you want to get deep into the weeds, this watch may not give you the amount of data that you're looking for. Specifically, things like ground contact time and vertical oscillation that I get from the Garmin, I don't get from this watch. So be aware of that. But in terms of a lot of other things, especially when it comes to running, stride length is good to go. And what else did it give me? Cadence, pace, all those things. Kind of the real more important ones in my mind. You're getting them with this watch when you go on a run. And speaking of going on a run, I also tested the GPS on this versus the Garmin. And it's easily as good as the Garmin, which is saying something, guys. It really is. And I did that run without the phone with me. So this was 100% wrist-based GPS with no other device helping it. Looked at the track that I ran versus the track that it showed on the map, and it was almost 1-to-1, guys. It was really, really good. I was super impressed with that. So overall, when it comes to using it as a sport watch, I think it's it's maybe not excellent, like top tier, but I'd give it like an 8 out of 10. It really, I think, meets the needs of most people when it comes to things like floors climb, total steps, and your workouts. You're gonna get it with this watch. When it comes to sleep tracking, this watch was okay. I found that it sometimes had a hard time differentiating between sleep and awake, but there is a cheat button. If you go into the app and you click on the sleep mode, then the watch just go ahead and assumes that you are sleeping, and then when you're done, you wake up, long press it on your phone, shuts it off. If you enable the sleep mode, it'll do snore tracking as well. And it'll tell you the number of times you snored, how long you snored, how loud it was, things like that. So that is, I think, sleep apnea adjacent perhaps, but nonetheless good data to have. The amount of sleep data that it gave in terms of awake time versus light sleep, deep sleep, and REM, I don't know how well I trust it. Quantified Scientist on YouTube did a huge test of a bunch of different fitness devices in terms of sleep tracking. The 3 he found that worked the best: Apple Watch, the Whoop strap, and the Oura Ring. Everything else was just okay. So just be aware, I think the sleep data is useful, but I think if you want to go really, really specific, this watch is probably not going to quite get that, but it's pretty good. I already talked about the SOS feature. Guys, you can enable it for not on at all, on all the time, or on only during activities. I have never accidentally triggered it during the times that I've been working out, so I don't know what kind of hit you'd have to take to kick that thing on, but you can set it to dial 911 and send your loved ones your location. I think that's probably not a bad thing to have. I'm not quite to the point of needing Life Alert, but I'm certainly not getting any younger. So having some peace of mind in terms of if I have really hurt myself really badly, being able to summon help, not a bad thing. Let me wrap this up, guys. Given the price of this watch, I find it to be an exceptional value. I wasn't kidding, guys. You can find it under 200 bucks on Amazon. You can find it under 200 bucks on Mobvoi's website. It is, at this price point, exceptional. Usually when I test watches that are kind of on the lower end of price points, I find that they give you like a huge feature set. But some of those features are kind of good on paper, so we check the box, and they're really not fully thought out, fully baked, whatever. I didn't really find that with this watch. All the features that I tested really seem to work and be thoughtfully applied without going into grim detail. Like I tested a $90 smartwatch, which I haven't even done a video on, and every single one of the sub features was a joke. It really didn't do much of anything useful, and it was especially horrible at heart rate tracking. Bad watch. This is not that watch. This is a good watch. If you've got an Android phone and you want a smartwatch, or you're considering a smartwatch, I think this would be a good watch to get. If you are insistent on getting the most recent Wear OS, this is not going to do it. These are Wear OS 4 watches, and I don't think Mobvoi is going to upgrade it to Wear OS 5. If you know what Wear OS 5 gives you versus 4, I don't. Hit me in the comments, let me know. I have no idea. So if you're a bleeding edge kid, then maybe this watch isn't for you. But if you're somebody that wants an Android watch and you don't want to have to charge that thing every 24 hours, I think this is probably your watch. If you're a hardcore endurance athlete, I think this may not be the watch for you, just because I don't think it's going to give you the level of data that you want, especially when it comes to things like running. I think that there's a whole lot of stuff that it's not going to give you that you may be interested in. So that may not be the watch for you either. But I think for most athletes who are reasonable athletes, I think this watch is going to give you plenty of data and put you where you need to be. Guys, all in all, I didn't think I'd still be wearing this watch. I thought I'd switch back to a Garmin because I'm team Garmin most of the time, but I keep wearing it. I keep wearing it. I know I said the same thing about the Amazfit, but this really supplanted the Amazfit. I haven't really compared it versus the Amazfit Active 2, which talk about price point, like that one's at 100 bucks even. You know, the Amazfits have some quirks, but man, you can forgive a lot of quirks for 100 bucks and 130 if you get the sapphire screen. That's a thought. But I think for something that's a little more fully featured than that Amazfit Active 2, you know, another 60 to 90 bucks depending on price point of the Active 2, you get a lot more for this. Maybe not quite as much battery life when you're using everything, but nonetheless pretty good. I will end this here, guys. I will mention that links to this watch are in the description. It's an Amazon affiliate link. If you use that link, it doesn't cost you any more, but it does help support this channel. And even if you're not interested in buying a watch today, if you click on that link and then just go shopping in Amazon, no matter what you buy, even if it's toiletries, protein powder, whatever, that will not cost you any extra, and it will help support this channel. So I would appreciate any help you can give me in that regard. And guys, if you're still watching at this point, I found something like darn close to 99% of the people watching my videos are not subscribed. So if this is you and you would consider subscribing, I would really appreciate that. The likes, all the YouTube things, they really help. And I appreciate your support. Heck, watching to this point alone is some serious support. So guys, as always, take care, stay safe. I'll talk to you soon.
Get 'em, Jay.